a fan of big melons, you might not like these ones quite as much. We are talking the Melon Heads House of Chrome. This is a 2024 low budget, I guess, creature feature movie. The story is there is a kind of journalism class, at college, and we have two pairs of students that are on a type of assignment to try and cover some type of urban legend, and they're kind of competing, and both of them are trying to cover this Melon Head story of this urban legend in Ohio, and inevitably this legend turns out to be true, and there's this kind of mad scientist doing experiments in this house in the forest. What'll happen? You'll have to watch the movie and find out. So let's talk about it. Now, Melon Heads. This is apparently an actual urban legend in this area of Ohio. I'd never even heard of these things until earlier this year when I actually watched another film which actually also mentioned them. So here we are with their own film. And let's discuss what works. Now, this is a low budget movie, so we have to have those expectations somewhat in check. I will say, when we do see our melon head creatures, beings, whatever you want to call them, I kind of enjoyed the practical makeup. I mean, it is low budget, and there's no getting around it. But I kind of thought they looked pretty disturbing, and I always kind of think, okay, if you were in the forest or something and you saw these things coming towards you, how would you react? And I thought, you know what? They kind of act like zombies, slow and kind of, growling and all the rest of it. But they look freaky. And I actually, hats off to such a low budget productions for making some fairly effective, lower budget practical makeup. And there's quite a few of them as well. They kind of look a little bit different. They have a little bit of individuality even within these kind of like, different type of melon heads. There's one kind of later on which is a slightly different colour, but his kind of makeup stops there, so you can kind of see, other skin which is not the same colour and stuff. So that he maybe doesn't look quite as strong, but for the most part, everyone, I think, all the rest do look pretty good. I will say as well, and this might be controversial, but I actually didn't think the acting was too bad. I thought these characters gave a kind of like understated performance to these actors, and their characters, they're all a little bit older, which is a point I'm going to come on to in just a little bit, but they seemed a little bit kind of more grounded to a degree. I mean, the script isn't brilliant, so the dialogue isn't like sparkling or anything, but I've got to say, I thought the characters and their performances, these actors of the characters, were actually fine. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's no, awards in this movie's future, I wouldn't say, for acting, but for this kind of style of movie, this low budget plot, style of film that you're going to find on Tubi and the rest of it, I actually thought the acting was fine. And there is an interesting sort of story about, this kind of this mad scientist who's kind of doing these different experiments, and it kind of goes back to the Cold War and all the rest of it. And there's some sort of stuff here that gives it sort of an interesting backstory, and this is something that's been going on, I think they say, by 3 generations and stuff. So it has a reasonable amount of sort of mythology and context to it. And I'm not sure of the actual sort of urban legend, so to speak, but I thought in the context of this movie, I thought, okay, there's a reasonable amount of mythology building here. Okay, so let's talk about what doesn't work. This is going to sound like a minor point here, but it kind of bothered me. So we have this college where there's this journalism lecture, I guess, and there seems to be 4 students in this class. 4 students, all of whom look about 40 years old. And I'm thinking, really? This is like, I mean, how would you be able to fund a class of just 4 students? And why are they all mature. I mean, maybe it's like a night school or something, I don't know, but it just seemed like an odd choice. And two of the students, there's two girls and two guys, and the guys are actually supposed to be doing a different assignment, but they decide that they're going to just cover the Melon Heads because they think it's a better story. Well, I think, well, surely if there's been another, if you're taking this, this course seriously and you've just disobeyed the lecture and done your own thing and not what they've given you, how would you possibly expect to pass the course? I mean, again, so the setup's a little weak. And then I have to say the main problem with this movie is I didn't really feel the pacing was up to scratch here. It's just like a lot of waffle in this film. Sort of just these sort of characters going from, oh, let's go and visit my sister, or let's go to a strip bar, etc., etc. And, on the context of we're going to be kind of researching this project and all the rest of it. But to me, I thought the pacing was just way too slow, and this should have been a more of a fun, punchy creature feature. I mean, probably this is, it's trying to be like a slower burn movie, but I just don't think it's kind of like, has the script to be a slow burn, thoughtful movie. This should have been a more grotesque creature feature where, you're seeing more horrific things on screen and, more of a scare factor. Instead, we get a lot of kind of just downtime with people just doing, silly stuff, really. Not really anything relevant. And then within the script, there's just a lot of like cliches. You've got the wizened old kind of like old timer who's kind of warning these kids not to go to this spooky house. There seems to be a lot of people that seem to know about this kind of a mad scientist in the woods. They go, well, why? This is quite a big property. Thinking surely it's drawing power. Clearly, I mean, surely there would be like authorities. I mean, the whole premise is a little bit kind of cooked, to be honest, and it ends up being, goofy ultimately, but not in the kind of the fun B-movie way. Just in that this isn't particularly kind of interesting sort of way. And I said that kind of the acting. The guy who plays this mad scientist really doesn't have a huge amount of charisma, I've got to say. I mean, this was like our main bad guy, and he's kind of dull. And then that's the problem with this whole movie, I would say. It's kind of on the dull side. I mean, when we get our eventual run-in with these Melon Heads creatures, I think the movie would have benefited from trying to make us feel a degree of sympathy. And I don't know even if it tried to do that, but it didn't, and that would have been the way to go with these things. I mean, I guess it tries to, but it doesn't really succeed. To have us feel empathy, like almost like a Frankenstein's monster style kind of scenario. So this movie just didn't really work. I mean, there's like I said, there's some fun VFX, but the story isn't particularly interesting. The characters seem like an odd choice, and there's just some issues with the setup. So, it's a little bit of a miss, I've got to say. For me, it's a 3 out of 10. Have you seen it? Let me know your thoughts, and I'll look forward to seeing it next time.